Welcome back, and joining me with more insight on the day's trade is Graeme Franck from PSG Wealth Sandton Grayston. Thank you so much for your time, Graeme. What's been interesting for me to watch is the gold miners and the gold price, because the gold miners have pulled back again today. We had a little bit of a rebound yesterday, but clearly that being short-lived. And I'm wondering if this is maybe just a profit-taking exercise rather than risk coming off the table.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of both. Remembering, I just looked earlier that the resource index in September jumped to about 25%, and then it was up again at the beginning of October. So, yeah, I think it's a bit of profit taking. Absolutely. The precious metals, gold and plats, have been on an absolute tear the last year, 18 months. But then counterbalancing that is a little bit of easing of trade tensions between China and the US, so the gold price is a little softer there because not as much fear priced into the gold price, which is basically a fiat currency.
Yeah. Well, actually, something that has gone on for far longer than I thought it would have is the U.S. government shutdown. As far as I know, there's still no resolution there, but we are getting the first piece of data since that shutdown today. That is that the inflation print. Are there any sort of major expectations there?
Not really, no. I think the market's still pricing another 2 times 25 basis points cuts for the rest of this year. So unless we see anything untoward either on the up or the downside on the inflation number, I don't really see that to be too a massive announcement. The interesting thing, though, on the government shutdown, it makes you realize that the South African government, the US government, they shut them down, and things carry on pretty much as normal. Markets have shrugged it off. The currency markets have shrugged it off. The equity markets have shrugged it off. So, kind of makes you wonder what bureaucrats do a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Well, Graeme, as we were talking about gold, there's actually M&A activity going on there. We saw with Harmony, and they actually have finalized everything in terms of the acquisition of a copper asset. Talk to me about that, considering how much Harmony has benefited from gold. Is this just adding on more optimism for the stock, considering all the I guess, prospects for copper going forward?
Yeah, I mean, this deal was announced in May, so that it really was priced in. I see they've just completed the deal today. But to your question, yeah, copper absolutely is the flavor of the month at the moment. I think it's going to add to the Harmony's investment case for sure. Remembering Anglo American also did that big tie-up with Tech Resources, specifically looking at boosting their copper prospect. So yeah, at the margin, a good deal for Harmony. And maybe just one quick point. I see there's more rumors that the Angolan government are going to be buying De Beers from Anglo American while I'm talking about them. So it's quite small in their lives because De Beers keeps being revalued downwards for Anglo American. But again, hopefully they can unbundle that and clean it up ahead of the copper deal, as I mentioned, also with Tech Resources.
All right. Well, there's so much talk about M&A, a lot of focus on that, because today we even got an update from Adcock Ingram about a finalization in terms of Natco Pharma acquiring the shares in Adcock Ingram that I guess are not owned by Bidvest. What do you make of that deal?
Yeah, so I see it was finalized again today, 75 Rand per share. If I remember correctly, Bidvest are going to own roughly 65%, and the Indian company Natco 35%, and obviously it's going to be taken private. So M&A activity, it does go to show that SA Inc. shares, so in other words, those retailers, industrial companies, pharmaceutical companies on the JSE are still looking quite cheap, and they are on the target of M&A both globally and locally. We've seen the same thing for Barlow World. We've seen it's coming quite a bit at the moment.
All right. Well, let's get into Pan-African resources. And it's not that there's M&A happening there, but they're having some changes in terms of their listing. So they are listed on the JSE and also on the London Stock Exchange, but they're moving to another kind of segment there. Talk to me about, I guess, maybe if this adds on to the buoyancy and optimism when it comes to Pan-African resources. It is quite interesting that the stock is down, but I'm guessing this is because of the broader pressure in those gold counters.
Yeah, so they're moving from the market is called AIM. I think it stands for the Alternate Investment Market in London, which is basically like your small cap, startup type ventures, and they're moving on to the main board. So that certainly will increase their visibility. It will increase their investor base. Certain big funds are not allowed to invest in AIM companies because they're too small and deemed to be high risk. So over time, for sure, it'll increase the investor base and the credibility for Pan-African. And yeah, it's a good move. Well done to them. They've got to critical mass to meet the criteria to move on to the main board.
All right. Well, let's get to your stock pick for today. What do you think is a good move?
So I'm going to go for Woolworths. I think in their last set of numbers, most analysts seem to think that you're really only paying for the food business now within Woolworths. You're getting clothing and a lot of the Australian business basically for free. In addition to that, I think they're going to be doing some share buybacks, and they're trading on a PE of around 15 times, but I do think the earnings are a little bit suppressed. So obviously, to the extent that the earnings are upgraded from here, and if management are able to turn them around, then that PE comes down quite substantially. So quite a nice self-help sort of turnaround story there at Woolworths.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your insights on what has moved investors' money today and this week. Graeme, do enjoy your weekend. That was Graeme Franck from PSG Wealth Sandton Grayston.